Leafs trade talks are heating up, and they are heating up fast surrounding Brad Treliving and the Toronto Maple Leafs, as a new report from multiple reporters, including Elliot Friedman, has revealed some very interesting Toronto Maple Leafs trade updates. And one of the players they are shopping may shock you, so stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it, quick reminder to hit the like button if you're enjoying the Daily Leafs content. Let's try to hit 300 likes on this video. But there's a lot to go over today and a lot of news drop. We obviously had a video earlier today discussing a Matthew Knies extension. But the big question now still is how they're going to open up roster space for Yanni Hakanpää, Connor Dewar, Cal Yarncroc once he returns. And Matt Benning, the new acquisition in the Timothy Liljegren trade, has now his future with Toronto still up in the air, but multiple reports have dropped, so let's just dive right into it. So we'll start with the first one here. Leafs GM Brad Treliving, and we'll get to the Elliot Friedman one in a minute, is reportedly still active in trade talks with other teams and considering options on the waiver wire. Defenseman Connor Timmins and Matt Benning, who came over from the Sharks in the Liljegren trade, are potential candidates to be moved or sent to the AHL if they clear waivers to free up additional roster space. And this is very interesting because obviously Matt Benning, we didn't really know where he's factored in, but Connor Timmins' name has been brought up now in trade talks with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we suspect a trade's going to happen over the next few days, sorry. But Connor Timmins is interesting. If they go this route, you have to assume that they're all in on Yanni Hakanpää being that sixth defenseman on the third pairing alongside Benoit, which is very interesting. A very big lineup there. What are your thoughts on this? I didn't think Connor Timmins, with the way they've been playing, but that being said, they've lost a couple games now. The record's not great. I could see them doing a bit of a shakeup here.
Yeah, and to hear Connor Timmins' name in this, I'm very surprised, honestly, because they traded Timothy Liljegren to essentially keep him and I guess Hakanpää in some sort of rotation. And I guess in doing this, if they have to do this and it's Connor Timmins, I think first of all, you're moving, whether it's a trade or waivers or what have you, Matt Benning first. It's not Connor Timmins first. That's for sure. We did say that, we wouldn't be surprised if Matt Benning factored into the lineup for like a game or two. That hasn't happened yet. And, the window is slowly closing here because Connor Dewar and Hakanpää are going to be activated as soon as this weekend. They're going to be back with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So they got to make a move, whether it's a trade or waivers here quickly. And I think it's Matt Benning first. But in terms of Connor Timmins, I think that's pretty interesting. It could be a trade. They must think that Hakanpää, if they're going to trade Connor Timmins, they must think Hakanpää is ready to go, and there must be nothing wrong with his knee, even though we know from the summer that is quite a significant injury and he's trying to manage it. So I just have a hard time believing it's Connor Timmins unless they have something else up their sleeve. But this is very interesting. They're going to have to make room. It's not so much about salary either, although it is. It's more about the roster spots. They're at 23 guys already, and they got 2 guys coming. So you got to move. You have to move 2 players. Now, Nick Robertson, we've talked about him as well. He could be still in the trade block, and there's another report we'll get to in a second. That's another guy you could look at. Pontus Holmberg, how does he fit into things right now too? There's still a lot up in the air because they're not winning right now. There's nothing really set in stone. So this is pretty interesting. I am surprised at this point in time, after everything that happened with Liljegren, to hear Connor Timmins' name come up in this.
Yeah, it's very surprising. And again, they must have a lot of faith in Yanni Hakanpää. And Darren Dreger spoke out as well, a different report on the Leafs returning players and the roster adjustments. They're going to have to move somebody out. They're at 23 men right now. So either someone's getting traded or waived. That's basically how it boils down. And again, this is going to happen very soon, as soon as this weekend. And again, Matt Benning was a guy when he brought over. He has serviceable, like there's a team out there you would think who could use a 30-year-old serviceable defenseman. That being said, I don't know if it's the Leafs right now. Maybe in the world where they trade Connor Timmins, they keep Matt Benning, and then he's kind of the guy who slots in with Yanni Hakanpää. But at that point, I'd probably rather just keep Connor Timmins and have him and Yanni Hakanpää swap in and out. But maybe there's some trade value here of Connor Timmins, which is why they're shopping him more. And Elliot Friedman believes the Leafs will try to flip Matt Benning, right? So that's what he came out and said on the Mondays, or a couple days ago, 32 Thoughts podcast. So it seems Matt Benning is all but gone with his time in Toronto. But surrounding Connor Timmins, it's interesting to say the least, but it also makes a bit of sense. And again, just kind of boil it all down. He's believed to still be engaged in trade talks. Benning and Connor Timmins are both candidates to be moved or sent down should they clear waivers. I don't think either. Maybe Matt Benning clears waivers. I don't know if Connor Timmins would clear waivers at this point. Let us know in the comments down below. Yarncroc generated some trade interest earlier on in the season, the preseason. Robertson remains in the trade block, and it makes sense. But yeah, the Connor Timmins thing is the big thought here. Any thoughts on why you think that Connor Timmins is the one that's being shopped around? My only, initial thought is that the value of him, supersedes Matt Benning by chance, or they have a ton of faith in Yanni Hakanpää. And again, they still have Philip Myers. Maybe he factors in.
I think it's exactly that. I think that Yanni Hakanpää factors into their plans that he has the whole time. And if it's going to be him and maybe Matt Benning, they might be okay with that, right? Because obviously Connor Timmins is going to get you way more in a trade if you want to go the trade route than Matt Benning at this point in time. But the fact of the matter is they got to move two players, right? And I feel like they're not sure about their forwards yet. I feel like they're very unsure about that. And Berube's still playing with things. I truly do not think they want to move off Nick Robertson unless there's a really good deal out there. So I'm not sure they're too quick to do that or move a forward. They're looking at the defense. It seems like right now, Connor Timmins, I think he's played okay, right? It's nothing spectacular, but I think he's come in and done a decent job. And it's pretty interesting right now. Like, are they gonna trade him? Are they going to, or not just him, maybe Matt Benning, or are they able to just send them down to the Marlies? Because you got to think about that as well. Do you want something in return, or do you want to take the chance and losing him to waivers? Right, that's another thing you got to think about. And I don't think the Leafs are too keen on that. So it's going to be interesting. I would not want to lose Connor Timmins for nothing, that's for sure, because I think he can get quite a bit in a trade package. He is a pretty decent defenseman. Even Matt Benning, there's a couple of teams around the league that are hurting for defensemen and especially right-handed defensemen. So I think that it's very interesting, that's for sure. And this week we're going to get an answer because both Connor Dewar and Yanni Hakanpää are coming off LTIR, or at least their conditioning stint. They're already off LTIR, but their conditioning stint with the Marlies, where they've looked pretty good, actually. So I'm not sure what the plan is here, but I do know that the Leafs don't want to lose players for nothing, and two of them have to be moved by this weekend.
Yeah, at this point, moves are imminent. And again, we'll have you covered with all the latest. So I want to bring up this, Darius. It's a bit interesting. So you look at the quality start leaders. We know how good Anthony Stolarz has been with the Toronto Maple Leafs. You look at the 5-5 expected goals for per 60. And I know you wanted to have a little point here about rounding out the team. It's very interesting on what, the more you read into this, what their actual plan is, because we don't know what their plan is right now with like you mentioned, Pontus Holmberg either, because they have so many forwards. I'm of the thought maybe they move, like you kind of just alluded to, a defenseman and a forward. Maybe it's Nick Robertson. He could also get traded as well. There's a lot of moves that are on the horizon for the Leafs, and it's a matter of what route they decide to go. But I know you wanted to say something about their final forwards. They've looked very solid, and I think they can do a better job now bringing. I think Yanni Hakanpää and Connor Dewar are actually quite needed at this point.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up that, you have a couple players coming off their conditioning stints and they're going to join the team. I think the Leafs sooner rather than later, like this week, need to start solidifying what their lineup is going to be and kind of what the identity of not only the team, but each line is going to be, because their power play is not good. Yes, they scored a power play goal last night, but it's not good. Look at the 5-on-5 numbers. They're decent. Yes, they could be higher in the league. That's for sure. But imagine what this team could be with some power play help, right? And a lineup that is solidified. So I think they got to start doing that and make a decision on a couple players here instead of yo-yoing them back and forth into the lineup. And, do they factor into our plans? And Anthony Stolarz too has had a fantastic season. His stats speak for themselves. I mean, you can't be wasting too much time here. I'm not going to panic until we're like 15, 20 games into the season, but I think there is something to be said about, make a move and really make a decision here. Even if it's a hard one, make a decision. If you think Connor Dewar factors into your fourth line, whatever it may be, whatever it is that you're thinking it's going to be, act on it, act on that. And also Yanni Hakanpää, if he is going to be your third pairing defenseman, sixth defenseman, act on that. If you don't see Connor Timmins, swapping with him, then maybe you move off Connor Timmins and make it a little bit easier for yourself in that way where you make that decision, who's on the way out. But I think it's very interesting. They have a very tough decision to make this week because it's either a trade or you might lose one or two guys to waivers. And I'm not too convinced that they're going to put any forwards on waivers.
Yeah, let us know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are. A lot of things happening, and this is the place to be for Daily Leafs news. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll keep you up to date with it. See you guys later.